How's it going, guys? Here just trying to do some video tests of some of the new equipment that we're going to be able to start doing live broadcasts with, but I thought I'd start with some videos first so I can get used to the equipment and that sort of stuff. So right now I'm going to do a process and I'll try to make it quick as possible. I'll probably start and stop video, so hopefully maybe I can edit them together at the end. So I've got a project here that I'm doing for Tana from Grateful Gardens. It's a hemp CBD from them that I'm going to put into a salve and make them 3 different variants. I'm pretty excited to do it. So I've got some of the components here that I'm going to actually transfer from what I'm extracting from to just the oils that I've produced. So I'm going to switch the camera focus here and maybe do a couple of those jars and then stop and then show you guys the finished product. Alright. Just get this set up. Alright, that looks pretty good. Hopefully I won't make a mess. But I'm going to have my clean jar here. So what you're going to want to do is get this cheesecloth. I like to double mine over, so just cut that. Put this stuff aside. Then I like to stuff it down in and give myself some room to actually work with, and it's easy to kind of put another jar without the lid in there. That is not good. Just switch this jar out. And always make sure your jars are clean and ready to go. That one was not. Alright, so there's that. Don't have the lid in, but I've got the cheesecloth in there. So we'll go ahead and hopefully get to make this smooth as possible. This is one of the this is fresh matter that I used. It is oregano. I collected 622 2020. And then it's been solar infusing, but it's got a really nice color from just the greens that it got out of there. So I'm going to go ahead and just carefully as possible transfer the oils. And this is a micro chain fractionated coconut oil. Olive oil is probably one of the good ones to use. Yeah, and I did use a lot of that at one point, but I actually switched to the micro chain for the color purposes. It's important for me to get a good color from the extractions that I do. So then you just go ahead and use some power to squeeze that out. And that is crazy because this was fresh material when I put it in, and I just used a black sock to kind of get all the power of the sun without damaging with the power of the sun. So yeah, all of this stuff seems to be like finely cooked, and it's kind of like a crunchy matter. That's really weird. It's the first time I've had that happen. I don't know if it's because I started using the sock now, but that is very interesting. So yeah, that's kind of a tough process getting all of that out. And I'm just going to go ahead and dump this out right here. I'm just going to check on the smell here. Oh wow, yeah, that is oregano. So probably have one more round here to do. If I can get all this material in. And this is definitely one of those things about herbalism that takes a long time to do, and making big messes and always having mason jars and all that stuff. So you want to be careful not to get any of your material that you've just extracted from. But yeah, there's a lot of oil still left in there, and that's the really potent stuff that you extract, is all the bits that kind of stay in, so you really want to get all of that. So yeah, it definitely takes some strength on that part right there. And then I'm just going to dump this in here now. Clean up my mess a little bit. And while my hands aren't so crazy messy, that's kind of step one, and then I'll just transfer the label jar to that. I'm going to stop here so I can clean up before I have to touch equipment. Okay, so here we are. A little different, closer angle. I'm going to go ahead and transfer, of course. I'm going to go ahead and transfer this label to the other jar. So there it is. And then what you'll actually do is set that aside and let whatever remaining sediment kind of drop down and collect at the bottom of the jar. And then you'll transfer once again, and if there's cloudy residue out there at the end of the transfer, then you just leave that, because that's trash oil. You don't want any of that sediment or anything like that in there. So I'll just go ahead and get a clean lid. Put that on there, and then that is my oregano component, and then I will continue to do more of these jars, and I'll show you as I continue and go along here. And this next one I have is calendula, so I will do the same process here. This was partially fresh, partially dry material that I collected from my own garden, and the oregano as well. So that's really cool to be able to use your own stuff. I really like that aspect of it. So this calendula right here is taking on a really beautiful orangish color. So that's why I really like to use the fractionated coconut oil, the micro chain. It's really just a beautiful color there. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and as carefully as possible. Alright, that one was a little bit forgiving to me. Oh no! Okay, so that can happen. It's okay. Oh, you just don't want that to get in there. Looks like I caught it before anything got in. So that's good. And then you'll just extract. You really want all of this stuff from calendula. It is really good as far as skincare and beauty products. Calendula is pretty much in. Has a base oil and all of that. And it's kind of easy easier to collect too. And temporarily, I'm going to put this aside. There again. Get the last little bit. That doesn't even seem like a lot of material, but there is a lot of stuff in there. And you want to get all that oil. Okay. Just put that in there. Pick that up. Bam. Pretty clean. Not too shabby. So then I will get another lid, because this still is going to have to sit. And if you guys were wondering who has all the mason jar lids, sorry, it's me. I've got so many of them. And I don't think you can have any either. I'm just playing. Alright, so I'll transfer my label to. Bam. Now the calendula, you see it's a little cloudy in there. I don't know how good you can see that, but there's a little cloudiness already. This is really going to settle, and then you'll separate that just like the one before, the oregano. Yeah, it's definitely going to have some bits that will settle, and then you just want to make sure that that doesn't go in your final product, because that can have molds produced in your jars and all kinds of stuff like that. So if there's no bits and materials in it, there's nothing that can really live and grow on any particles in there. So that's kind of what you're going for. Okay, and this is another component that I'm kind of excited about to do, to be able to do with Tana. This is actually a start white sage that she had gotten me, I think, 2 or 3 years back. So this is the sage that I've kind of been collecting and drying out and looking for something to do with that oil. So this is pretty cool to be able to do that. So this is actually one of her starts that I grew and have been harvesting from. So that's also very cool for me. And you know, white sage is a big responsibility. Taking care of that and growing that, I kind of feel that it is a sacred thing, but I think if you respect the boundaries of that sacredness, I think you're really taken care of and looked out for as far as in any herbalism or working closely with any herbs. So I'm honored to get to work with white sage, and this particular plant is a really, really beautiful plant. It's fun to watch this particular strain grow versus some of the other sages. Alright, so I'm going to get my transfer on. So hopefully not have any spills or messes. And then depending on what you're working with and how much of the ratios that you're going for, you can adjust the ratios, but yeah, you always kind of want to make it as good as possible. So like 1:5 ratios, you know, depending on what you're working with. And so all of this stuff has been outside, and then I finished in my dehydrator just to make sure, and I kind of pull long extractions more so than what you need, but I think there's a cool process that happens too with the medicine heating up in daytime and cooling off at night. It's a whole cycle, so including those cycles in medicine making is really powerful and cool, if you ask me. So, and then I'll just do the extraction on this, and then another form that would make this an even more complete medicine making process is spagyric method, and that's where I would take all the bits of the herbs, dry, fresh, that I've made the medicine with, and to put them in a crucible, turn it into ash, and keep purifying the ash. I think the process is like 7 times, and the ash ends up becoming more of like a waxy molecule, and then you add that back into the finished product of like I would add that dry bit back into my oil material right here, and then I would have a total complete alchemy process, which I think's really cool, and would love to start doing more stuff like that. Well, that one went pretty clean, so go ahead and do the label transfer. Bam! Get a clean lid here. Oops, wrong lid. Bam! Right. And then I'm gonna that was pretty smooth. Now I've got yarrow here. That's gonna be another component in this. I've ran out of the wide mouth jars, but that is okay. I gotta get more. I'm out of cheesecloth, but I have paint strainers, so depending on what you use, this one's a little finer here. This might be a little easier for me to use though. And then we'll do the transfer. Ooh, yarrow. Really good for skin and health, internally and externally. So cool to get to work with all these different herbs. And this yarrow was homegrown as well. I can't remember if I grew this from seed. This could be maybe another plant that I may have collected from Tana maybe 2 seasons ago or something. Okay. Ooh. All right. Okay. Bam, another one done. That one was a little messier. Okay. Get my jelly jar lid. Transfer this label. And bam. So there is another one. I'm going to go ahead and stop here. So thanks for watching these videos.